Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win, you find a way to lose. Please take time to subscribe, consider donating and liking the channel. Now let's jump into it, man. Look, man, the importance of fighters taking the cocktail during training camps. Just how important is it for fighters to take the Ariza cocktail, the Sajjad cocktail, the Conti cocktail, or the Heredia cocktail? I'm going to tell you this. I think a lot of fighters are taking the cocktail. Some of them are taking illegal substances. Others are taking legal substances that achieve the same results as the banned substances. But the bottom line is, a lot of these fighters, the fighters we love, the fighters we hate, the fighters who we really don't pay much attention to, it's being used, not by everyone, but I would tend to think by a vast majority. Now, when it comes to steroid use, right, I read a lot of articles, man, and I'm trying to pull out the consistencies, but we know steroid use is just one of those topics when it comes to the sport of boxing that's been controversial, but it's kind of bubbled up to a point to where, I mean, we're seeing a lot of boxers get themselves zapped for just finding themselves having the wrong thing in their system. Doesn't matter how it got in there, right? I mean, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt, but the bottom line is in your system. And there's some things that can't get in your system unless you inject it into your body. So it's one of those things when it comes to the sport of boxing that now it's like people want to act, try to figure out how can we clean it up? What are we going to do? But ever since steroids has been introduced to sports and boxing, to be specific, you know, and fighters knowing they can get a competitive edge, you know, they're tempted to use it and they've been using it, man. You know, steroids isn't just about helping boxers build muscle mass. You know, it's really also about becoming faster, becoming stronger, improving their endurance, improving their stamina and the overall performance inside the ring. But I'm telling you, time will tell on who's taking the illegal cocktails, because when you start taking these steroids, right, now you run the risk of having significant health issues. That liver starts to get damaged, that heart starts to give you issues. Hey, even your balls and your ability to perform in the bedroom starts to become an issue. And then ultimately, you can die. So I think when you just look at some of our favorite fighters and how they've been able to perform in the ring, especially you watch some guys who've had a string of knockouts, then get put underneath that microscope saying, hey, we need to pay attention. Got somebody jumping up weight classes and they're knocking everybody out on the way up. How's that happen? And then when the real deal starts and they really start asking questions, all of a sudden the knockout streak ends. Makes you wonder. Okay? And then you got these other issues where you just have guys who seem to be kind of irritable. Bodies tend to change right in front of us. And no one asked the question how. How were they able to do that? Even when you look and see that they're working with a special strength and conditioning coach, someone who has a history of making bad choices, right? So again, when it comes to combat sports, and we're talking about steroid use, I think we need to really understand how all of this works. Now, there are a lot of safety risks that are just, it's been documented that when it comes to using these steroids or any banned substance when it comes to boxing is very, very concerning, because boxing is a physical contact sport. You got guys in there punching each other, wrestling, headbutting, shoulders. I mean, it's extremely physical. Boxing is not a tickling contest. But when we're talking about these side effects, right? Can you think of any fighters out there who show that they may be extremely aggressive? Because I could think of quite a few who just have this kind of aggression. You're like, what the hell's wrong with them? Because when you have someone who's like that, and they can really, really hurt their opponent, and they hurt people outside the ring. You have a loose cannon running around. And I could think of a couple guys right now who were under investigation, who have that kind of irritable quality to them. But the long-term effects of this steroid use can cause a lot more damage to the person taking it than to the damage they can inflict to their opponent in the ring. Because we're talking about performance. Let me tell you, short term, there can be some benefits. Long term, you're talking about muscle fatigue and loss of strength. That's why it gets cycled. You always hear them talking about, they're cycling it. They take it for a short period of time, then they stop before they have a fight, or before they start training camp, then they get back on, then they get off. There was huge talk about certain athletes, right, who were under suspicion for cycling these banned substances. There's been quite a few. Some of them are still active right now and making huge fight purses. But they don't do it long term. And Dr. Usman Sajjad talked about a lot of this stuff when he did that interview and was laughing at UCAD, laughing at VADA, and just laughing at the whole system, saying, hey, it's so easy to cycle this stuff, to get it in and out your system within a 12-hour period, and you would never know. Now, if that's the case, there's no wonder why you have so many fighters out here who are doing it and not getting caught. And when these guys do get caught, they're in disbelief. And they lie about it because they just figure that they'll be able to somehow convince, these organizations that, hey, it's not true. I ate boiled eggs. I ate wild boar meat. I ate beef. I touched something. Somebody farted. I mean, come on, man. I tell you what, man. Taking the steroids and for long term, it's like that's like being an athlete and smoking cigarettes. Why? What are you trying to do to yourself? You know what I'm saying? But hey, the regulations seem to be strict, and they're becoming more and more stricter. The UCAD, VADA, WBA, WBC, IBF, WBO. Because when it comes to the ethical implications, it's very important in the sport of boxing that any of these athletes getting an unfair advantage, that they get severely penalized. It's one thing that you penalize yourself by jeopardizing your health, but when you get caught, there's a lot of money lost. Conor Benn talks a lot about how much money he had to spend to prove his innocence, which I still wonder if the secret society didn't come through and save him. You know what I'm saying? Makes you wonder. But hey, what do I know? We're just having a conversation. But you want to come in here, man, and unfairly compete. That's not cool. Getting an unfair advantage and running the risk of killing someone. But more importantly, you're putting yourself at risk of shortening your lifespan because you want to come in here for a moment in time and look like some superstar in the ring. Let me tell you something. The WBA, the WBC, the other sanctioning bodies, look, man, they banned the use of these steroids. There's rigorous testing, man, for athletes. Not all, because both athletes have to agree to the testing, but it's out there, man. It's just to try to prohibit the use of steroids. You got a big fight coming up between Eubank Jr. and Liam Smith. And word on the street is there was no testing. That is concerning to me. That although they have these regulations in place, although they have testing in place, although this is a high-profile fight, a lot on the line, these guys don't want to. My understanding is they didn't agree to any of this random testing. I know Eubank Jr. Is enrolled in VADA, and I saw he put forth a couple of urine samples, but I saw one of the promoters were saying there is no agreement for testing and that Liam Smith may not have participated. I don't know how true that is. That's just something I read over, and it wasn't making much sense because I saw Eubank Jr. put a post up with two little, I guess it's A and B samples. So again, I don't know. But what I will say is they need to have. I don't see why. First, it's expensive, and I understand not everybody can pay. To remain enrolled in those programs. But why do they make it so expensive? It's just like going to the grocery store and you're seeing how expensive the fruits and vegetables are, how inexpensive the processed meat is. You know what I'm saying? Make it more reasonable so that more people can afford it. Same thing with this VADA testing and this drug testing. That way these guys can remain vigilant, and it helps everyone just to remain to be reassured that the sport is being kept as safe and clean as possible. So for those of you who are saying, all right, well, look, do these boxers really take steroids? Look, man, everyone's trying to get a competitive edge. Why you think they got the Arizas out there, the Contis out there, the Heredias, the Usman Sajjad? These guys are out there getting paid. These guys are pharmaceutical geniuses. They know just what to take, what to give a fighter to give them that competitive edge, that competitive advantage that can go undetected. They also know what they can give you that could get detected but can be out your system in a short period of time. Now, I'm not saying this is happening. I'm not saying it's not happening. What I'm telling you is we're just having a conversation. Stuff is strictly prohibited, man. That's why you see guys getting caught. They're facing penalties. I won't say it's severe because, in my opinion, Gerald Big Baby Miller, he's never proven that he was innocent, so I'd have to assume that he's guilty of taking steroids. He's an extreme case. Why didn't they ban him for life? You know what I'm saying? You look at what they did with Luis Resto. He wasn't taking steroids, but he had that plaster on his hands. They banned him, and they banned Panama Lewis for life from boxing. Panama Lewis died. Never got an opportunity. He did things on the side, to work with boxers and train them, but he had to figure out a way to circumvent the system. Luis Resto never had an opportunity to box or do anything again with boxing. But you're going to sit there and ban those guys for life. To me, you should have been setting a precedent just to come to where we are today. I understand the money involved in boxing, but damn, you're still letting guys get in there and fight after they test positive? It's crazy to me, man. Crazy, crazy, crazy. But I'm paying attention to see guys who have had outstanding performances consistently, right? I'm paying attention to see when these guys' performances also start to decrease. Because all of a sudden now, they've been on steroids so long, now they're suffering from what I mentioned earlier, the fatigue, the muscle loss. Bodies are breaking down. You understand? But no one thinks about the risk versus benefits before they consider using these steroids or just taking these cocktails. Nobody really thinks about it. They just look at what's in front of them today and what they want today. Because a lot of these things boxers were taking, the illegal stuff, right? I think they're believed to use anabolic androgenic steroids, which is just something to help grow male hormone, testosterone. That's why we're talking about Conabin and clomiphene. Supposedly would increase the testosterone in men by like times 100, something crazy. So when you're talking about increasing muscle mass, strength, reducing fat, and then those are kind of some of the positives, right, from taking it. And then some of the downsides from taking it is just the aggression and stuff like that. And then you got the health risk. It's all bad business, but if it's anything positive from taking it, it's just these guys getting the muscle mass, strength, power, endurance, recovery, stamina. But then you notice they're very irritable. And I'm going to tell you, Conabin is extremely irritable and a hothead. But aggression and irritability is some of the side effects. And I'm not, I'm not at all suggesting that Conabin is guilty of anything. But what I'm saying is, when you start to really understand what steroids can do to a boxer physically, the good and bad, and then what it does to them kind of psychologically and emotionally, you can see that there are some of our fighters who are involved in these scandals who've displayed some of these side effects. But the most important thing, I think some people wonder, hey, do the steroids really make a fighter hit harder? Let me tell you something. If you're increasing your power, you're increasing your overall performance, you're increasing your muscle mass, and you're exponentially increasing your testosterone, steroids will make you punch harder. Simple. And although the effects can be short term, that's all boxers need, right? They just need the short term advantage to get in the ring and do the business. But the long term risk, it's just not worth it, but they don't care. Let me tell you something, man. This boils down to just, I have an acronym I came up with. I used to brief it. I used to brief this when I was in the military. It's called playing your cards right. C for communication, A for attitude, R for being responsible and respectful, and D for discipline. If you play your cards right, good things happen. And I kind of liken that to, in boxing, having sound fundamentals, smart training, good eating habits, hard work, and dedication. Those things will put you over the top, and good things will happen when you become a professional boxer. And if you're doing those things, you shouldn't really need to go out here and be taking no damn steroids. A proper supplementation strategy, I get it. You got the protein, you got the arginine, you got creatine, and those are things that are legal and haven't shown to have any negative side effects. So those are things that you probably approved and guys are allowed to take that can have some of the effects of like gaining muscle mass and stuff like that. But at the bottom line is, I don't think boxers need to be doing these steroids. But I do think if you're going to be in the ring with somebody who's taking the cocktail and has a genius in his corner with strength and conditioning and knowing just what you can take that's legal, it's going to give you an advantage in the ring. They probably, to be on a level playing field, they probably need to figure it out. And I'm not saying they should do it, but they need to figure it out. Okay? Because there are a lot of fighters who are doing this. It's crazy. People are getting caught left and right. Even the women are getting caught now. Even the women are getting caught. Just putting their professional career at risk. All this rigorous testing and programs to detect any athlete using steroids. I mean, they got all kind of tests out here if you didn't know, like urine, blood, hair samples, saliva, all kind of crap. And a lot of people just don't know about that. But that being said, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. The importance of fighters taking the cocktail during training camps. It's pretty damn important to me. Because if they're getting in there and someone else is taking the cocktail and they're not, whether it's illegal substances or legal substances, they run the risk of getting themselves really hurt because now they can't meet fire with fire at all. And that is not good. That being said, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans. All 7 continents. I'm in the breeze.